Dave Palumbo with another RxMuscle rant brought to you by Redcon One. Today's topic, is Luke Sandoe the next Dorian Yates? Let's talk about this for a minute. Luke, like Dorian, kind of came out of nowhere. Mass monster, keeps improving every single year by leaps and bounds. He just placed third at the Arnold Classic USA. He's got probably, for his height, almost the most muscle, I would say, per square inch on his body of all the other competitors, at least on that Arnold Classic stage. Maybe William Bowen I could close second, but obviously Luke being a little taller. You know, both men came from the UK, hailed from England, and have a rich heritage in hardcore, heavy-duty type, heavy muscle training. And that's, you know, something that I think we all have maybe over the last 15 years have, you know, missed in this sport. Guys that just want to go balls to the wall, you know, put their bodies on the line every single day they get in that gym. And Luke just embodies that. And you can see it in his physique. You know, when you talk about heavy lifting, that's the result of heavy lifting. Just oodles of mass upon mass, you know, a lot of dense, granity type muscle. You know, you see a lot of detail, especially when he moves, you know, and that's something that I think people never really got a chance to see on Dorian. You know, if you didn't see him in person, if you saw him move, you saw every fiber of his body just, you know, like undulating, so to speak. And he had a three-dimensionality to his body that you couldn't really duplicate. Now, obviously, Dorian's proportions are a lot different than Luke's. Luke's still coming up in the sport. This was Dorian at his best in 1993. Obviously, this is Luke from the Arnold Classic this past weekend. We'll look at a little bit of his video in a minute, and I can kind of analyze that a little bit more, because I think what you see is when you look at the static pictures of Luke, he's not as impressive as when you see him moving, and when he's next to other guys, he's even more impressive. And the bottom line is, can he be the next Dorian? He might be, because he's still making improvements. He's still in his growth years. He still has a lot more muscle he can pack onto that frame. And I think he's super impressive. To me, you know, there's not many guys. You know, we thought Big Ronnie was going to be the next coming of Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates. Hasn't really turned out that way. Does he have a lot of muscle? Absolutely. But he doesn't have that grainy, dense 3D look that we've seen from a guy like Luke Sandoe. So when you compare, hey, who's going to be the next, you know, ultra freak on the block, I just don't see it from Ramy yet, unless Ramy's going to bring to the stage this coming year, working with Neil Hill, a look that we haven't seen before. But for me, Luke Sandoe might be our greatest hope at this point for a guy who's going to pack ridiculous amounts of muscle on his frame and who's going to keep improving and freaking us out every single year. Because I think the best is still yet to come for Luke Sandoe. I think next year we're going to see an even bigger, more impressive version of him. And I think probably in 3 years from now, we'll see him hit his peak. And at that point, who knows how much he's going to weigh or what he's going to look like and where he might be. You know, will he be Mr. Olympia? Who knows? It is a possibility. We could be saying, hey, I remember when Dave Palumbo, you know, put it out there that this guy could become Mr. Olympia, or at least be the Arnold Classic champion. He was only 2 places away from that this past weekend, and this is he's still getting his feet wet as an IFBB pro. He just really got started. He's getting started here. And it's going to be exciting to see where he goes. You know, I like to see new and upcoming talent. I like to see guys who go from dark horse to star on the block, so to speak. And we really haven't seen any new guys, you know, come out of the woodwork over the last 3 years or so that have really, really impressed us. I think that Luke Sandoe is the guy who we've been waiting for quite some time. What the future holds from him, only the big guy upstairs knows. Hopefully Luke will stay injury-free and keep improving from show to show. And it'll be exciting to see what he brings to the Mr. Olympia competition this year in September. You know, like I said, if you watch him as he's hitting these poses here, you can just see all that density and all that detail just popping through. Plus, his conditioning is really good. And that's super important. You could have a lot of muscle, but if you don't bring conditioning to the stage, and I think that was his problem last year. He had a lot of muscle. He was almost there last year. This year, he brought the conditioning, and I think he could even be even harder. I think if he puts on another like 4 to 5 pounds of muscle over the next year and comes in 5 pounds tighter, which is what Dorian was doing. Dorian could have competed probably 5 to 8 pounds bigger than he did, but he wanted to be the most conditioned guy on stage, which he always was. And that was his calling card. And I think that Luke can make that his calling card once he adds a couple more pounds of muscle, which I think we're going to see by next year, maybe even as quickly as the Olympia. And then we're going to start talking about Luke as the craziest, freakiest guy on the block. All right, for now though, I am Dave Palumbo with another Redcon 1 RxMuscle Rant.